This is Sarah Lazare, a staff writer for Common Dreams, wrote this piece over for that website. And the headline is Wall Street's Solution to Puerto Rico Debt Crisis, Shutter Schools, Fire Workers. Students from the University of Puerto Rico at Rio Piedras get ready to march to the governor's house to protest plans to cut the country's university budget. What's happening is that the bondholders, mostly hedge funds, big billionaires out of New York, Puerto Rico can't pay their debts right now. And these bondholders are, going after them in a really, really significant way. Now, this raises an interesting question, which I don't think this article addresses. But those of you who have been regular and long-time listeners to this program will remember when I was talking about this back, 6 months or longer ago. I don't know, maybe you remember, Shano, that Puerto Rico had a tax loophole. If you wanted to relocate a factory from the United States to Puerto Rico, you didn't have to pay some types of tax. And I don't remember all the details of exactly which taxes they were, but I think that they were corporate income taxes on the profit that you make with your manufacturing. And for that reason, a lot of companies, particularly big pharmaceutical companies, located factories in Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico was doing a lot of manufacturing for the United States. And of course, manufacturing jobs tend to be good-paying jobs, and they build a middle class. And that middle class pays taxes. And those taxes allow Puerto Rico to repay its debts. So what happened over the last few years? Congress did away with that tax exemption for Puerto Rico. Now, maybe the theory was they'll bring the factories back to the mainland. Maybe this was, Louisiana supported it because they thought they'd get the factories there. But the reality is that those factories in Puerto Rico that the American companies were placing there so that they could sell things into the United States without duties, without tariffs, without any, basically you're not importing into the United States if you're bringing in something from Puerto Rico because it's a U.S. protectorate. So you get the benefits of manufacturing in the United States, but you have a lower cost workforce, you have a lower cost of living, and you get these tax advantages. Well, Congress did away with the tax advantages. So what did the factories do? What did the fat cats do? They moved to South Vietnam, or they moved to Brunei, or they moved to Malaysia, or they moved to Indonesia, or they moved to China, or they moved to Mexico. I mean, they just got the hell out of Dodge. And now Puerto Rico is having an economic crisis. They're having an economic crisis because their middle class is being destroyed. Their middle class is being destroyed because these tax policies changed. Now, we refer to our trade policies. You've heard Bernie Sanders on this program talking for 10 years now about the, quote, insane trade policies that we pursue here in the United States. And you've heard me rant about it. And I wrote a chapter about it in my book, Rebooting the American Dream. Our trade policies are actually tax policies because they have to do with, the whole most favored nation status thing, the whole NAFTA, CAFTA, SHAFTA, all that stuff. It's all about lowering import taxes. So it's tax policy. And as long as our tax policy is controlled, as long as our tax policy is absolutely controlled by the oligarchs, and you will recall Jimmy Carter, and by the way, that quote from Jimmy Carter is now starting to go viral on the internet. I mean, he came on this program, and I said, what do you think is the consequences of Citizens United? And here is what a living former president of the United States had to say about the state of affairs in America today. Our Supreme Court has now said, unlimited money in politics. It seems a violation of principles of democracy. In the minute or so we have left, your thoughts on that?
It violates the essence of what made America a great country in its political system. Now it's just an oligarchy with unlimited political bribery being the essence of getting the nominations for president or the elected president. And the same thing applies to governors and U.S. senators and Congress members. So now we've just seen a complete subversion of our political system as a payoff to major contributors who want and expect and sometimes get favors for themselves after the election's over.
There you go. An oligarchy with a system of organized political bribery. That is now the United States of America. I mean, that is how bad it has gotten.